As a musician, it's all interactive because it's a community that you're working with. It's important to note that as a tap dancer, you are a musician. It's not, there's been a real sort of misunderstanding of tap dancing for a lot of years. And it really is, a tap dancer is a musician, dancer, and actor, because we combine all three. So we're interactive just in the nature of who we are. When I had Manhattan Tap, we always had guest artists, and we had Cookie Cook and Eddie Brown and Buster Brown and Steve Condos and all these great dancers who were in their late 60s and 70s. And we would go out there and we would dance our hearts out and present and push and push and push. And everyone would go, yay, when we left the stage. And then Cookie would walk on stage. He'd look very curmudgeonly at the audience, flip his hat up in the air, go to catch it, miss it, and everyone would go crazy. All he had to do was stand there. He had so much groove, whereas we were like trying so hard, and then he would do nothing and people would fall in love with him. It's the difference between the wisdom and the youth. In terms of being open in your listening as a tap dancer, listening is listening. You're either listening or you're not. And so when you see dancers who get lost or who don't really connect to other people when they're dancing, they're just not listening. So you either know how to listen to someone else and are willing to accept new ideas in the moment and respond to them, or you're really only concerned with your own dancing or playing and you shut out everything around you. And that kind of works against the whole concept of music, because music oftentimes is played with more than one person. So if you're watching people improvising in any art form, it's not about what you see, it's about what you feel. And so if they're listening to each other, you're going to feel good. And if they're not, it's going to feel awkward and probably not so happy, not a real happy place. How can you be in harmony with someone if you're not listening to them? How can you be physically lined up or orally lined up with them if you're not listening to them? If I'm working with any tap dancer, I try not to complicate my directions to them as a mentor and as a teacher. I try and just be as simple as possible. And so today, for example, in class, we were talking about what to do at a jam session. And the first thing I tell them to do is introduce yourself, because then you get to know, you get to talk, know who the person is. How can you play with someone unless you even care to find out their name, So that's the first thing, introduce yourself. And then once you start playing, listen. And I could tell them how to listen, but that's kind of counterintuitive, because then they're going to be doing what I told them to do instead of being present with the person in front of them. So the less I tell them, the better. I'm in a position where I've trained myself not to allow my ego to get in the way of my action of improvisation, And that took a lot of time and a lot of training. And now I'm in a place where, I don't know, I just dance and listen and enjoy. And there's the effort that goes into understanding how that connects to flow is gone. If you're really honest with the person that you're performing with, it happens.